Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. So I recently bought myself a lathe and then I bought myself a set of wood turning chisels. So in this video I'd like to show you how I made this really useful, convenient rack for wood turning chisels just out of some scrap wood. So I went ahead and bought the Parkside lathe from Lidl supermarket, and I also went ahead and bought a full set of wood turning chisels made by a company called Firm. I bought these off eBay. They're quite old but they've never been used, so now I just need a rack to store them in. So for this project I'm going to be using a scrap piece of pine and a scrap piece of plywood. I started off by ripping a clean edge on the pine on the table saw. So the width of the pieces is going to be 80mm. I set the fence to 80mm and ripped down all the pieces. So now for the marking up. The total length of the rack is going to be 390mm, and that way I can accommodate all 8 chisels. I used some pieces as a template, and these areas will be for the pilot holes later on to hold the rack together. Now I needed to find equal spacing. So for the chisels there's going to be a 32mm space, and then for the gaps between each chisel there'll be 15mm. Then with a set square I could draw all the lines. Then I needed to find the centre of each 32mm space for a centre point to drill the circular hole for each chisel. Then with a combination square I could find the centre again and make a cross. And then I could make some markings for the pilot holes which will be holding this rack together. Then I used an awl to make marks ready for the drill press. Then I could mark up for the sides, and they will be 200mm in height. Next I cut the pieces down on the miter saw. Once I'd cut the bottom piece, I could use that as a template to then cut the top piece. And I repeated this process for the sides. Now over to the drill press. I've got the top and the bottom in the drill press vise, and I'm drilling pilot holes through each center point, and that way they will be exact. When I drill the bigger holes on each piece, they will be perfectly in line with each other. Then I could just countersink the areas for where the screws will go. Now for the bottom holes, I'll be using a 30mm Forstner bit. The diameter of the chisel handles is 30mm, so they should fit snugly in the bottom to hold them still. And I've got a depth stop set up so that I've got equal depths drilled here. Now for the top holes, I'm using a 32mm hole saw, so that's slightly bigger than the diameter of the handles. That'll allow them to move freely through the top. Then I could clean up the holes with some sandpaper. Now onto assembly. I used plenty of glue on each joint, and then I drilled pilot holes and added screws. I'm using a screwdriver just in case, so that I don't split the wood. Then I gave everything a quick sanding down with a 120 grit sandpaper, just going over all the edges and making everything nice and smooth. And because this is scrap wood, I decided to give it a coat of grey paint, and this should match the theme of the workshop nicely. In total, I gave it 2 coats. Finally, I could just add some little rubber feet to the bottom. And then add the chisels. Okay, so that is about it for this video. I think the rack turned out great. They all sit nice and solid. There's no movement, so keeps them all nice and secure and tight together. I'm probably going to mount this onto a wall, but for now I'm just going to put them on my desk, and it works well. Nice and neat and tidy, keeps everything organised. So if you did find this video useful, please remember to like and also consider subscribing for more DIY related videos. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.